How you guys doing this morning? Well, today my objective is to clean my shop because it is an absolute pigsty because I've had too many projects going on, and I'm going to give you a couple suggestions on how I get my ADHD self to clean, because it's kind of a challenge when you have ADHD and your brain tells you to start new projects. Like, I've got a bench grinder right here, which I'm going to try and make a Simpson square grinder for square grinding chain because it's a little easier that way. Need to get my oil pump together for I had to rebuild my motor in my 73, and I had to just rebuild a motor in my Cat, and I just put a new clutch in for my friend. And then after I get my shop clean, got to fix my window since I broke it the other day putting together a Starlink thing for my neighbor. Well, typically how I start out with when I start cleaning is I'll open my phone and I'll go to YouTube. Like today I'm going to watch, or not really watch, but listen to Roman Atwood's podcast, his new release. It was released 2 hours ago, which if I am not listening to something like a music, a podcast, I personally prefer podcasts or an audiobook. I start to get upset at myself because the thoughts in my head and everything, they just keep compounding, and I end up stop cleaning. But I'll typically start with boxes I've opened. Like this is a pipe stretcher because for doing exhaust systems and whatnot. But I'll start with getting those cleaned back up and getting everything closed up. Like this is a tap and die set. Putting my gas can back on the shelf with my saws, and putting all my boxes back, which that'll make a sizable dent. And then I typically take all of my tools, like this is a bucket that's got pullers and stuff for, got a puller for doing motors, or well, this is actually a flywheel puller, but because I had to pull all the front clip off of my motor for my 73 because I swapped motors because I was trying to change my oil pump because it stopped producing proper oil pressure and the bearings kind of seized together. But so I pulled the oil pan out of it, and if you go into my Instagram or previous videos, it's a truck that runs on fire with that blue one. It's my 1973 and it's on a small block 350, and I pulled the oil pan to put a new oil pump in, and I was cleaning out the oil pan because you don't put stuff back together dirty, it's just asking for problems. But when I was cleaning it out, I heard a little piece of metal flip over and it hit the oil pan. Well, it came out of the oil pan into my cleaner, and I fished it out, and sure enough, it's ear off of a piston, ear off my number 6. So that's another motor I'll have to rebuild soon. But currently I have my 69 motor in it, and which is the small block 350. It's a Target crate motor, but that's one of the things I did. Well, one of my favorite tricks for getting myself to actually do something is, I wouldn't say it's a great trick, but not completing it 100%, always having somewhere that is a catch-all. Like this is my little tool catch-all, which eventually I'll put it all back in my toolbox, but my toolbox is full. So I was very fortunate to have parents and grandparents that were also into mechanics and mechanical stuff. So I've got drawers that are completely full to the max of all specialty tools. That, like this is a cylinder hone to make sure the cylinder's round. I've got so many tools and I have a place to put them. But so I have a little catch-all right here on my counter, which is stuff I typically grab, but I can clean that up later. I spent about 45 minutes cleaning, which ain't too bad, but on to the next project of trying to fix my window. Okay, so what I did was I found a piece of plywood. I already cut it, but I found a piece of plywood that was roughly the same thickness. I wanted like 3/4 because this is only a single pane window. It's a cheap window, it's single pane. What happened was I was putting together a Starlink deal for my neighbor, and I was swinging a hammer up high, hitting a pipe using my vise holding it, and the hammerhead came off and smacked my window and broke it. But so keep it warmer in here because we're gonna be getting snow pretty soon and everything. Nice and cold already. So I over there took a piece of plywood that was roughly the same thickness, threw it on there on a square end, squared up one of the ends, scribed around it, cut it out with a worm drive, and now I'm going to take off the latch part and screw it onto here, so then that way I have an actual sliding part that hooks into this little loop. Because your windows, your actual sliding panes, they just slide up higher, and then you can roll out the bottom and pull it out. Oh, there we go. Now I got a piece of wood instead of a window. Because I don't think I can just replace the single pane of glass. And it's really rainy outside, so probably next summer, or if we get a dry spell, I'll have to take off the outside piece of plywood and actually replace the whole window. Because I think it'll be cheaper to replace an $80 window versus probably finding a custom made piece of glass to fit in this. Or I might have a wild try at cutting these plastic welds and finding a custom piece of glass to slip in here. Because I've got some glass, but I believe it's tempered, so I can't really cut tempered glass without it shattering. But you can cut regular glass with just a glass cutter, but kind of got it cleaned up. Well, but successful for the hour I put into the effort. So now on to some other projects. Like I need to go down to the bottom property and clear up our slash pile still, because there's trees down on the fence. So till tomorrow.